I try to avoid New York City as much as I possibly can, but sometimes you see the people on the streets and you're like, yep, I am in fact in New York. Jesus Christ.
Yep, listen, there are lots of things that I can scratch off my bingo card.
I
What is
did
the
see
what
it.
is the weirdest thing that you've seen in the city?
Yeah.
The weirdest?
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, oh God, it's got to be between the guy full on smoking meth on the subway.
Oh my God.
Oh, or swimming across the subway station.
Oh my God.
I forgot that happened. Oh my God.
Yeah,
No.
that was fun. It was like literally just like Rose in the Titanic. That one scene with the axe, just up, like boobs deep.
Boobs deep.
Oh my
that's
God.
the quote of the podcast right there. We always have one.
Now, I had met this person
Oh
at
no.
the Carbonell nominee luncheon.
Well,
Oh boy.
that says it.
I as I was a nominee,
That's rough.
and they were like, just no one really knows who you are. I think you need to build up a better reputation for yourself because you're just unknown. And the accompanist was like, well, she's got a silver palm, like a Carbonell nomination. She just performed at the Carbonells. I just doubled down and was like, yeah, but no one knows who you are at all. So,
What in the
but you know what?
world?
I'll give you a I'll give you a call back for ensemble, and then proceeds to not give me a call back. Thank you so much. That was like
Oh
That's
God.
terrible.
No,
That
thank
is
I was
you.
terrible.
I like went home. I was like, cool, 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 cool. All right.
Cool, cool.
I feel super great about myself right now. And so I
Oh
sat there
boy.
going like, I'm literally a fucking worthless peon in this industry.
Oh
What a
no.
shame. And I think I know the place you're talking about, I think. And all I'm gonna say is
I don't think it's that place.
okay.
Because I'm trying to read your mind through Zoom. I don't think it's that
Is
place.
she
It's
is
a
she
different. Okay, maybe it is.
Oh, this getting
This shit
cut.
is getting cut out.
This is getting cut. I'm not me looking at the notes right now, typing that shit in.
I was just gonna say you don't get to know new faces, but we don't have to keep that in.
This is getting cut, right? Correct?
We'll just cut before we mention where it is.
Okay, well, I'm gonna say something and then we're gonna cut it. Fuck you. And we get to the closing of that weekend. We had 2 more weeks, so it was like that Sunday. And after the show, I'm sitting in the dressing room and I'm like, what? It's happening again, but it's not bad. And I was like, what is going on? So I'm sitting there, and then it hits me full blown. So my left arm goes numb, my jaw goes numb, I can't breathe. Like this whole thing happens, and I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna die doing a non-ec production of Grease.
Today's the day.
I'm like, this is it. I'm like,
This is it.
no one's gonna
This is
see
exactly how they said it would be.
this. Exactly. I was like, damn
You're
it.
gonna die alone in a community theater playing Danny Zuko as your hair is thinning. Ah!
Talk about some nonsense. So there's a bunch of stories on this tour, and we became a family. That was the one thing. We were a family. I mean, these were some of my best friends. And so there was one story that is like so non-ec. It's so non-ec. So we were in the middle of, I don't know, Midwest, the North, I don't know. We were in the middle of nowhere. We had a dinner stop at a Wendy's, quick dinner stop. We get back in. And so this was the time. So this is early 2000s, right? And everybody was obsessed with Lost. And so we were watching Lost on the TVs in the bus, right? And so so we get back onto the bus, right? And we all had our own, we were lucky, actually, most of us had two seats to ourselves. And a lot of us in Turkey, you don't get the 2 seats, right?
Nope.
So we were like, okay, I know we're lucky. And so you have all your blankets and your pillows, and you have your, you set up your whole little spot and your whole little area. And so it was late. It was after a dinner stop. It's like dark. We get back onto the bus, And we finished the episode, and then my friend goes to the front of the bus to like change the DVD or something, get another episode of Lost. And the girl who sat right there at the very front of the bus wasn't there. It was just a pile of blankets and pillows and shit. And so he goes, "Where's Emily?" And the company manager is right there across the aisle. And the company manager was like, "Oh shit, oh shit." So we had driven an hour, and we realized that they left somebody back at the Wendy's an hour back. Now, we had been driving all day. Oh, I can't make this shit up. We had been driving all day. This was already going to be a 12-hour driving day. We weren't going to a venue to do a show that day. So this was going to be a 12-hour day. So we were like, you better send her a cab. You better send her a car, something. And I was like, we are not. We were all like, if you turn this bus around, right? Because we were like driving for 12 hours. We were like, get us off the fucking bus, right? So we're trying to call. None of us really had her cell phone. So this wasn't a girl who was really friends with anybody. So none of us really had her cell phone number, but somebody had her boyfriend's cell phone number or something, tried to get in touch. We tried to call. Oh, we did call. We called her phone and it rang right there on the bus on her seat.
Oh my God.
This is when we all had flip phones. This is early 2000s flip phones. And it rang on her seat. So then we were like, how are we going to get in touch with her? And so we called the boyfriend who tried to get in touch with her or something. I don't remember, because at this point I was fucking furious. We were like crying all over the bus, right? And we were like, if you turn this bus around, you have to let us underneath the bus into our suitcases to get our alcohol. I was like, you have to. You have to. We were all like, you have to let us go down and get our mini bottles or something, right?
Mini bottles.
So we did. So he turned the bus around. We went back a whole other hour to go back a whole other hour, another hour to get to where. So 12-hour bus ride turned into a 14-hour bus ride. When we got back and she was right there and she gets on the bus, I cannot even imagine how she must have felt, because we were all just glaring at her like, how do you miss the bus? But then also, that's the whole reason to have a company manager.
Speaking of a fun moment that I had with you, Sean, we did a little gig together right after Guys and Dolls. We did a Grease superfan event with our good friend Jonathan Van Dyke, and we were all playing different Grease characters, and my man Sean Davis over here was the tallest Danny Zuko I've ever seen in my life.
I was the tallest, whitest, blondest Danny Zuko ever.
Exactly. And we get to this event, and Sean looks at me and he goes, I don't know the opening lyrics to Grease. And I was like, well, little buddy, I just did the show, so let me figure out how to do this for you. And we're holding hand mics, and he goes, just write the opening couple of words on my finger. And then, when I'm singing in it, then I'll get the rest of it after I start singing the first couple of words.
Right.
And I was like, bet. So I did. And we go out and we talk to everyone first, and we're all flirting up a storm like idiots.
Can I say that when we would go through this cocktail hour, we were like, "Oh, I'm Danny," and everyone would go, "What?"
Everyone in that room was wearing a pink ladies jacket. They were all dressed up. I think also
it was funny, and again, bless the person that made that event. But the person that booked it, they're like, "Oh, they do this all the time, right?" And he was like, "Yep, all the time." And we literally learned it the night before, or we walked into that event and we're like, "Oh, you're gonna do choreography here and choreography there, and just have a good time." Yeah. But yeah, no, there's one thing I've always been really bad with memorizing lyrics, especially when the songs are very the verses are very similar.
Yes. So fair play.
And Michael, a true friend wrote these lyrics down for me on my hand, and I was like, great, I'm going to look at these, and I don't care if it doesn't look professional. And again, I'm holding the mic so I can just look like I'm looking at the mic while I'm singing. And I forgot that I have this thing where I have attention problems, and I start looking at a phrase, and then I go, I got it, and then I just stop reading halfway through. And especially because we started singing Grease is the Word, and that's a very, very popular song.
Yeah.
And I just again, I'm not joking when I tell you I've never butchered a line more. I literally was like, there ain't no problems they can feel like we feel. We gotta feel right now so they can feel what we feel, which is the word.
And the
It
thing
was
is, I opened that shit up. I started, I saw my problems and I see the light. And then I get to the point where Sean's supposed to take over. And I turn around all slick and I'm like, well, bam, go get him, buddy. And then that comes out of his mouth. And I just turned back around and I'm like, do I sing now over? And the thing
Yeah.
is, I have this recording. We can insert it here, or I'm gonna see if it plays over.
No.
Because it is still the ringtone on my phone 2 years later. That when anyone gives me a phone call, it's Sean Williams Davis, fucking up the lyrics to Grease. So here we are.
No, you don't have to insert it.
There ain't no danger, we can feel what we feel. We start believing now, so we can feel what we feel.
That wasn't whatever. That wasn't in the show. That was like recorded at an Applebee's afterwards.
Yeah. I was like, hey Sean,
he was like, you got it recorded for me in the bathroom so I can have it forever. Yeah, that was probably the biggest. I think I pride myself on like being professional and consistent, but that was the biggest fuck up I think I've ever done in my life. I've never butchered something so bad, and to watch the entire patrons of this event go, "What the fuck?" collectively.
Please, but Mandy goes out and her back zipper breaks, right? And I'm behind her the whole time while she's on the dime at the start of the number, and the boys are peeking out, left and right, and I see on the first, side to side that her zipper's down in the back. So me just trying to fix it real quick, I go to the side on the left and I zip up, and I go to the side of the right and I try to zip it again, and I go to the left. I'm zipping up her dress the entire number in the beginning, and it just does not work. So I'm like, all right, best of luck to her, right? And I pick
Godspeed, Lopez. Godspeed.
Godspeed, Mandy. So I grab my dime and I run back, and then all the boys trail off. And the girls are doing their whole bit where they have their hands up in the air and they're just tapping, but like fangs start to happen for Mandy. And I'm gonna let Mandy take it from here.
Take it away.
All right. Well, let me start by saying that for some reason the dress never fully like correctly fit me, because they were tour outfits, and the girls before us, they were skinny.
Those outfits fit no one.
Preface, these were the national tour costumes.
Yes, these were the national tour costumes, beautiful costumes, but some very, very skinny, beautiful women wore them. And I think probably some short women wore them too, because the torso did not match up. And so I'm a bit longer, and I was heavier in that time.
She's a skinny queen now.
And now it's different, but they never fit correctly torso wise, because it was either always the top half was always too low because boobies, and then the bottom part was always way too short, and you could always see my ass cheeks out. So it was disproportioned always, but I lived my best life with my disproportionedness of it all. But I loved them. They were beautiful costumes. But always, even before the whole zipper thing happened, I would always have a titty pop out, because I also didn't I didn't have a bra, because it was a kind of dress where bra straps could be seen, and I didn't have time with other costumes, and we had a lot of costumes to go in and out of. So I was like, pasties is the way to go, and there's some support there for the girls, so let's just go for it. And so I think, was it the day of the zipper of this?
Yes, it was.
So I guess it was the day of
they all blend together.
They all blend together, because the thing is, pretty much every other show, it was always the left titty. The left titty was always hanging out, while the right stayed very humbly in the in the casa. The left titty was always out to play. She wanted to tap, and I understood her. I let her do her thing. But in one of those moments, the left titty was out, as she does, and she was just flopping in the breeze. And with the pasty, you can kind of get away with it. But one day the pasty said, "I give up." So the pasty landed on the stage, and you just see a titty flapping up and down outside of my dress as we're and I didn't feel it at all because at that point I was kind of like I was oblivious. I was like, the titty's out, that's normal. But apparently once we finished the number and we all run off stage, it's when I looked down and I was like, is that a pasty?
The best part,
my pasty?
Blanco and I were in the wings watching Mandy go at it, and I look over and I see this pasty like nipple down on the floor, and I look at Blanco, I go, is that a titty?
That was the iconic 42nd Street line. I was like, is that a titty?
Is that a titty?
It was so good. And I would always, because Amanda was the farthest woman stage left, and all the guys were stage left, and she would request that every day I would hype her during that number. So I would just be on the wings. I'm like, yes, bitch, you better work. Come on, you better paradiddle. Come on now. I remember the day the pasty fell. I'm like, come on, oh. And there's a point for 42nd Street lovers. There's at the very end, the whole ensemble goes into these like kicks. This whole like
23 of them, right?
23.
Yes,
23 kicks. We're alternating kicks and just like big hands, super jazzy, super love it. And I circle Amanda every time right before those kicks start. And I'll say little somethings. I'm like, come on, bitch, let's go.
Let's go.
I'm like, let's kick. I remember that day. I'm like, girl, you better hold on tight. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
No cottage cheese in podcast.
Speaking of cottage cheese, Michael, you have a list.
Yes. Okay. So I had this wonderful list that when I worked with, Johnny, anytime something that was like very off the wall or funny that came out of his mouth, I would put it down in the notes section of my phone. So we're going to play a little game today called Explain That Phrase. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read 3 of my favorites out loud. And I just need you to go ahead and try to explain what these mean. So I'm just going to start with something simple. That scene was cottage cheese.
Bland, boring, what's happening, dull, lumpy.
Lumpy, got it.
Great. I mean, look,
perfect.
I like cottage cheese, but cottage cheese doesn't get the party started. If you walked into a potluck with a Tupperware of cottage cheese, you would not be a hit. I like a hit.
Likes a hit.
I like a 7-layer dip. Let's get the empanadas going.
Orange, like when Kat fell down the stairs in Greece, my asshole clenched. But
how many times do we have to mention this goddamn story? I'll never live it down. I almost died, and everyone just loves to bring up my misery. I thought I was no longer on this planet, and you just love laughing about how I went head over heels in my fucking crinoline while I'm singing my song, holding a microphone in a blue out, and like it's just like I'm dead. I'm dead.
Because Kat, the funniest part about that shit is I was like, yeah, go Jan. And I turned around and I was like, isn't she great? And then I turned back up to look at you and you were just gone. I was like, where'd she go? Oh, I was like, oh shit. And then my asshole tightened.
But Ryan, do you have any like crazy stories from the theater?
Not like a crazy story. I think like so I'm wearing the shirt. This is Fear the Weasel. My mom got it for me when I played Weasel for Newsies. Very sweet of her. Shout out to Mom, Cheryl Kraut.
Oh my gosh, shout out to Cheryl Kraut. Very nice woman.
Sweet lady. Sweet woman. She's the best. But my character Weasel, it was when they upcharged for Newsies, when they upcharged the price of the paper, and Jack Kelly's like, we ain't paying no 60 cents for no stinking paper. And my line is, will they make way for someone who will? Simple as that, right? No. I freaked out, blanked out, and we all call it a Weezer because it was like a seizure on stage, but my name is Weasel, so we call it a Weezer. And I completely botched the line. I fed into like the anger part of my character, so I was just like a steaming pot, like a tea kettle on a stove, just like, "Bro, where you live?" And I just started mumbling and yelling obscenities and stuff like that, and I just didn't even have a full sentence. I was like, "Man, where when you say if you will, when you win it?" And I start twitching a little bit. I had my mustache on. The whole cast shifts their head upstage because they don't want the audience to know they're about to start laughing. But I got the entire cast to break on stage. Jack Kelly literally, shout out to Sam Kedju, you're the man. He literally had to shift his whole body upstage, like, let's have a meeting, fellas.
The best part about that, Ryan, is you came backstage and you went, "I'm fired."
Yeah, dude, because it was closed captioning night. The dude typing is probably like,
That's exactly what happened. That was my reaction. I was like, what did he say? Oh,
you were there that night?
I was there that night.
Oh man, sweet. Oh my god, that was so dumb.
But Bruno and I had to sing the lovely number that honestly knocked the house down every single night. Dead Gay Son. We had a fucking blast with that. I think you and I basically, Cassie was like, I'll work on the ensemble stuff. You guys figure out what you want to do for this. And we were like, sure. So we came up with like all this fun choreo, Bruno slapping my ass, me picking him up and spinning him around, like doing all this fun stuff.
We're gonna have to put a clip in here because there's
boom.
Yeah, we got some good footage.
We got 27 camera angles from every single person that went to the show.
Every night, Michael would be like, I had a friend, he recorded it. It was, at the end, you can make a fucking Steven Spielberg movie out of only us singing. Because there was fucking aerial views, there was people like from the bottom and shit. I'm like, bruh. It was a great number though. I still have that on my phone. I listen to it from time to time, but it was so much fun. And I remember really liking. So I did it the first time with Slow Burn Theater. I played JD about like 100 pounds ago, and then fucking. I ain't gonna lie. I was like, I can't fucking play JD no more.
But like when I did do 42nd Street though, now we did have a little mishap backstage.
Yeah,
and
we have to talk about this. Yeah.
Yep. And I'm glad that we're able to talk about it on here. So the quick changes in 42nd Street, as everyone knows, were bullshit. It was like maximum 30 seconds, maybe 40 on a good day. Like it was bad. Like some of them were as short as like 25 seconds, like get in, get out, go. And Dow and I, we didn't like having like super claustrophobic changing rooms because there were changing rooms backstage, but they were like super in the corner and out of the way. So like Dow and I had this one rack that we both shared. So like my costumes were on the left and hers were on the right. And one time we were running off.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one time we were running off and we're like ripping things. Like we are like, we need to go. Right. And I see now. I never wore a dance belt in that show because I wore it once and then my ass split and then my cheeks were out during tech and it like scarred me. And shout out to Carrie, the lady that works at the LPAC, because she still brings up the time that she saw my ass. So
excellent.
Yes. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna wear briefs the rest of the run. Because I don't want to wear a dance belt and then have just like straight cheeks out to the audience anymore. So
bold decision for you, Michael. There are full brief dance belts. There are full brief dance belts.
Well, I didn't have one at the time. Okay. So I'm wearing my briefs and I'm changing. And Dow, don't correct me if I'm wrong, but you had like the sticky bra.
Yeah, the pasties, which I am such a sweater and everybody knows this. It's really embarrassing. Those fucking things would slide off of my body because I would be sweating so much and the sweat and the glue would just like mix. And my titties were like, no. Can't have us. One night during wearing the money, we were doing the money kicks and I could feel it unlatch. And I was like, you motherfucker, don't you dare fall out. I will never work down here ever again if a chicken cutlet lands on the fucking stage in front of this dime. I will lose my shit. So, thank God it didn't. But yes, continue, Michael.
No, that honor of the chicken cutlet falling out on stage was for Mandy. Mandy had that honor, that run.
Well,
but we're
no.
running backstage, and it's like super super quick, and then I don't notice it at first because it's super fast, but like I fall out like of the front little like thing that you use to go to the urinal, so I'm out. And then Dow bends down to go pick out something, and both of her like stickies just like fall off. And we both look at each other, notice what happened, and then there was just this silent agreement of like, this happened, but we need to go on stage. So let's put it back in, and you put that back on, and then we'll run back out. There was a genuine moment of like, oh my God, well, go. Like, it was like
oh, it was just kind of like, yeah, it was a silent acknowledgement and agreement of we're friends. You know what? We all have the same parts and cash and prizes. Let's go.
Cash and prizes.
You saw my cash and prizes. I saw your cash and prizes. You know what? That's life. We're humans. Move on. We're in theater. I don't know what you want. You're going to see an ass cheek. You're going to see a titty. You're probably going to see a private part. I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. It's going to happen sometime.
Cash and prizes with Alex Dow.